Morning, ATD family. We are back. We are approximately 12 hours and 44 minutes away from spring training officially starting. Yes, I am given specific times because we are recording this on Saturday and it's going to be produced on Monday. So let's go. Thank you so much for joining us on ATD today. It is Grand Slam Sam. We have Baseball Bill. We are talking all things baseball right before spring training. Some big signings, one major watch, and a month that we have to commemorate with some amazing players that really changed and impacted the game for everyone. So without any further ado, we're going to get this started as we always do. Baseball Bill, how are you doing on this beautiful morning?
I am doing absolutely fantastic this morning. I'm excited to record this. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a lot of good topics. But before I do that, I gotta give a thank you to those that sponsor Top Fan. Top Fan doesn't exist without our corporate sponsors. And so we want to mention and highlight, first of all, Gravity Red Productions. Those boys over there do a great job at filming. You ever need anything filmed, reach out to them. They're nationwide. I know that they go to several different countries to film. Reach out to Darren and Curtis over at Gravity Red. We like those guys. They do a great job. If you're in the SoCal area, if you are in the SoCal area, you need to hit up the pizza store. It is by OC Local. They've got a great brewery about a mile down the road, but OC Local, I'm sorry, the pizza store in Laguna Hills, absolutely phenomenal pizza. They got great sandwiches. They got great salads at a pizza place. Absolutely fantastic. If you're a
The
drinker, they even got some stuff on tap.
question I got to ask about the pizza, though, is that can it compete with New York, my friend? Can it compete
Yes. Yeah.
with
They have a lot of specialty pizzas over there, and it does. It actually competes with New York. It's one of the better pizza spots that I found in Orange County for sure.
well, then, man, next time I'm out there, we gotta have to hit it up.
Yeah.
Gonna have to bring that East Coast New York guy down to some West Coast SoCal pizza, and let me give it a little.
Let you be the judge.
I'll be the judge of this.
There you go. Also, got to give Ruby's a shout out in Laguna Beach. They are one of our sponsors. We're also doing our event there this month. We rented out the top deck of Ruby's Diner, and we are going to do dinner, and then we are going to watch a movie. Salmon is right across the street. It's on PCH. It's right across the street from the Pacific Ocean. I mean, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And if you're
It
also
sounds
looking,
like a fantastic romantic spot for dinner, my friend.
I'm telling you,
You
telling you, if only you were in SoCal.
you,
And
you got it.
then finally, if you're looking for some clothing, there's a guy that does some things called Drunken Gentlemen, and they are absolutely phenomenal. Shout out to Josh and everything that he does over there. Huge hockey guy, huge baseball guy, and we thank him for his corporate sponsorship. He'll actually be on our next, along with Rubies and one other company, will be on our next T-shirt drop. So, got to shout out those people. I'm sure you'll hear about them again later on in the show. But Sam,
Yeah,
let's
I
get
mean,
the show started.
look, drunk. I mean, just in the name, it kind of goes with sports for the guys doing clothing.
Yeah,
So strongly encourage you check out all of our corporate sponsors. Um, as Bill said, we can't do what we do and do what we love without them supporting us. So definitely
yep.
make sure you check them out on a regular basis. But Bill, you're right. We got to jump right into this because the polar bear has decided after months of figuring out what he wanted to do, dropping his agent, signing with Boris, declining multiple options that he never should have declined, he has finally decided to stay in the Dodger blue, giant orange New York Mets jersey
Mhm.
on a 2 year, $52 million contract with no.
Okay.
Well, it's he's got an opt out after a year, my friend.
$54 million contract.
$54 million. I'm sorry, because
Yeah.
that 2 million is such a big deal to him.
Yeah.
Also with $10 million signing bonus. But again, it seems as though Scott Boras has done what he has done for many of players and gotten them a short term deal with a 1 year opt out afterwards.
Mm.
Bill, how what's the upside on this deal to the Mets specifically? Let's talk about that.
Um, you lock and load a first baseman, you lock and load a fan favorite. Um, I don't know that there's a ton of. I mean, I honestly, I love Pete, but I think maybe they overpaid for him. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think they overpaid.
Yeah, I would say Pete is the definition of an average fielder with a power bat.
Hmm.
You know, when I look at him compared to other first basemen just in the field, I don't get that like feeling of he's gonna make the spectacular play. He's gonna be the one that jumps 8 feet in the air and catches the ball before it hits, the foul line going into right field. I'm not seeing that out of him. But what I do see out of him is a power bat that has put up 20 plus home runs the over the beginning of his career every year. You're looking for a guy that you can rely on at the plate. He's that guy. Um, now let's flip the script a little bit. We talked about the upside for the Mets. What's the upside for Pete in this?
He gets paid and he has a place to call home longer. I honestly think the downside for Pete is stronger than his upside because the downside is he does have a 1 year opt out. He does have a 2 year contract. He is now playing on a prove me contract because what he's looking for is he's looking for a longer term deal, right? 4, 5, 6 years, kind of wrap up as a Met. Uh, this means that every at bat is under pressure because let's be honest, he's getting paid $22 million a season to wear Met. I'm sorry, 20. I'm sorry, $26 million a season. So it's over $2 million a month that he's getting paid by the Mets. Um, I mean, frankly, there's a lot of pressure there. So what Pete really needs to do is he really needs to have the best season he possibly can have this season. Go back into the Mets front office and say, okay, let's renegotiate this for a 5 year deal, 5 year or 6 year deal. Let's lock and load. Let's let me stay. Yada yada yada. But that
Well,
doesn't work if you're going to hit 225 with 35 home runs and get 90 hits. A third of your hits can't be home runs.
yeah. Well, I think the other thing on the contract side is that Scott always does a really good job of getting the opt-outs to be player opt-outs, not
Yep,
team opt.
yep, yep.
So, Pete can have a terrible year and basically say, you know what, I'm gonna stay. I'm not gonna go test the market this year. Let's figure this out next year. And now the Mets are on the hook for another $27 million.
Uh-huh.
So I think with Pete, you're right. The best thing that could have happened for him in this entire situation is that he's able to go back somewhere where he's comfortable to prove that he deserves the big contract. And I think the other thing is that when you look at next year's upcoming free agency class, he is going to be if he opts out, probably at the top of the board for the top free agents out there if he has an exceptional season.
Hmm.
If he doesn't, well, now we're gonna have a big conversation about, what's the free agent market looking like next year? Because the last couple of years, you've had big players be available. Aaron Judge, Carlos Correa, Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto. You know, if Pete wants to be in that conversation, he needs to come out and really dominate on
Really
field.
light it up. Yeah. So so last year, it's interesting. Last year, hits wise, he was better than he was the year before. Home
Mhm.
runs wise, he was a little down. So if let's just call it 80 home runs, right? If he hits 80 home runs over the next 2 seasons, which is very capable of him. That'll
Mhm.
put him over 300 home runs overall. The Mets then look at him and say, "Gee, you're 30, you're coming on 32 years old. We'll give you a 5-year deal," knowing that he probably will end his career at about 450 home runs. It won't necessarily be Hall of Fame conversation. It may be, but it will definitely be one of the best hitters, power hitters in Mets history. That's kind of the way
Yeah,
that
and I
I
mean,
think. Okay.
yeah, no. I agree with you completely. And I mean, I'm just taking a preview of what the next year's free agency market's going to look like.
Yeah.
You know, right now, looking at the free agent market going into next year, I mean, honestly, Pete's not going to be number one whether he opts out or not, because
Mhm.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to he's going to be the number one spot. So, this could be something where it's really interesting because if both Vlad and Pete are doing reasonably well in their respective divisions,
Mhm.
who's to say we don't see a mid-season Pete Alonso Vlad Guerrero trade-off between the Mets and the Blue Jays?
Oh
An
yeah.
extension.
Okay, so you ready for Bill Adamas to come out? See, Bill Adamas
I
nailed it with.
love Bill Adamas is, I mean, I'm good. Bill, you have now given me a new section weekly.
Bill
Bill Adamas.
Adamas. There you go. So here comes Bill Adamas. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. gets traded at the trade deadline this season to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Um, Along with that trade, he will sign a 6 to 7 year deal. He's going to do exactly what his daddy did and go from a Canadian team to a SoCal team. He would fit perfectly in Anaheim. Anaheim loves that family. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I believe, went into the Hall of Fame as an Angel.
Yeah.
Vladimir Guerrero Sr. went into the Hall of Fame as an Angel.
Yep.
So I'm gonna that's Bill Adamas right there for you.
No, and I love it. I think that's a great prediction. I think it's a prediction that is reasonably could reasonably happen, honestly.
Yeah,
But you
100%.
know, I think in that trade though, I'm gonna in, elaborate a little bit further on it and
Yeah.
make it a three-team trade.
Okay.
I still have this feeling Pete's gonna end up in Toronto. I really have this feeling he's going to end up in Toronto. So I could see this being a three-team trade where the Mets get youth from the Angels, Pete goes to Toronto, and Vladdy goes to Anaheim.
It could happen. It could happen.
Like,
I
you
just
know what I mean? I mean, look, we just saw some crazy NBA trades in the last week. I mean, Luca going to freaking the Angels was, I think, no one expected that to happen. I mean, the Lakers, I don't think anyone expected that to happen. But I think we're going to see some really interesting baseball trades this year, especially towards the trade deadline that we weren't expecting. And more in line with that, solely due to the fact that when you look at the the free agency market next year, Vlad Guerrero Jr. is the youngest player on the free agency list.
yeah. Yeah.
It's no one like the next youngest player is gonna be 29.
Yeah.
He's gonna be 27.
So, by the way, speaking of Luca, side note, somebody asked me in jest the other day why the Dodgers didn't sign Luca since we're signing everybody. And I responded that the Dodgers did make an offer for him, but he just did not want to change sports. So,
I I,
I
I also
mean,
heard that I also heard the Dodgers made some free agency tried to make some free agency signings for some NFL refs that were coaching some Chiefs games, and they all declined because they need to be in Patty Mahomes' pocket.
fly,
Anyway,
Eagles, fly.
fly Eagles fly. Let's go.
All right.
Moving
What we got
on.
next?
Well, one big free agent still on the market has signed. We are still on the Bregman watch. The Bregman watch is in real full effect. I mean, Bill, what? Why? Just why? Give
Scott,
me give me a
Scott,
reasonable answer as to why this is still we're still talking about this guy.
because his agent is really, really good sometimes at negotiating, but overcooking grits. This is a very average third baseman. After the bang bang fastball came out, look at his numbers in 18 and 19. Then look at him in 21, 22, 23. They're not declining like a steep decline, but they're steadily declining. He is an average third baseman who is looking for a 7 year, 200 plus $1 million contract. And the Astros offered him a decent wage, and he wasn't willing to take the quote unquote hometown discount. He is from New Mexico. He bought a house in Arizona apparently last year. Uh, I'm surprised that the Diamondbacks aren't in his watch, but I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to pay 200 mil tickets for this guy. So, I mean, as we record right now, all players are required to be in camp by next Saturday, by the 15th. They are all required to be in camp by next Saturday. This guy still doesn't have a team. And so, I mean, again, this is where that rule comes in that I would love to have. Like, if you haven't signed by January 31st, you've got to sit out the month of February. And so, I mean, I don't know. This one bothers me a bit, but what can I say?
Yeah, looking at the stats as I have him up here, he's played in the last 3 years, he's played over at least over 140 games. This past year was his lowest of the last three with 145. Um, but on his upside, he's hit consistently 20 plus home runs. He's averaged 32 doubles a year, averaged 150 hits a year. Um, um, you know, I mean, 2023 was his best run year with 103. Um, I mean, minus 2019 where he hit 122, but that again,
Hmm?
that's in the past, and we're looking towards the
Fastball.
future. But I will say his RBI count was dropped. His WAR dropped a little bit last year. His OPS this past year was definitely lower. Was one of the lowest of his career. Um, slugging percentage was a little bit up. OBP was down.
Mhm.
His average though is the one thing that I think is the thing that people need to look at from a hitter's perspective. It's remained consistent. He's remained a 255, 260 batting average guy. But I agree with you on the fielding side of the house that when you look at the fielding and his defensive acumen, he's similar to Pete Alonso, average at best. Average at best. He's not a Matt Chapman. He's not a like he's not up there. He's just not in the same level of defensive prowess that some of the top tier third basemen are.
Mhm.
And again, we're talking
100%.
about another Scott Boras guy here. I mean, so what is it that Bregman needs to do in this next week to find a team? Like, does he just need to just like take a prove
Yeah.
it contract? Does he need to say, Scott, get me something by Tuesday, or we're cutting ties? Like, what does he got to do?
I would have had that conversation with my agent a month ago. But I, at this point, here's the issue. We don't know that. Here's two sides of it. We don't know from a player slash agent slash ownership if he's negotiating with teams right now, and if he's locked and loaded, they're just waiting to have all the I's dotted and T's crossed. We don't know that yet. But from a fan perspective, if Alex Bregman were to sign with the Dodgers, which we're not even having conversations with him, but if he were to sign with the Dodgers next week and he shows up at camp, I'm expecting him, if he has a slow start in April and in May, I'm going to be all over him saying, dude, how come you didn't sign earlier? How come you weren't at Dodger Stadium working out with some of the other guys? How come you weren't yada yada yada? Right. And
Yeah.
so he's on the hook here. Now, you do have a team up here that I think is a perfect fit for him outside of going back to Houston. I think the perfect fit for him is Detroit, but we will see. We will absolutely see.
Well, speaking of Detroit, if you listened to the show last week, Bill hit it dead on, you know, dead on the head of the nail
Bill
with
Adubus.
Jack. We recorded this, and within 2 hours, Jack Flaherty was signed with the Tigers. And I was about to text Bill and be like, "Did you have some internal conversations to know this before, and just decided you wanted to surprise me? Like, what's going on here?"
No,
But
sir.
when I pulled up, I pulled up last year's top top third baseman in the league,
Yeah.
and I'm scrolling through here, and I'm trying to. I mean, Alex Bregman was ranked the number four best third baseman in baseball.
Mhm.
I think personally that's being very, very, very generous. Like, that's a very generous placement.
It's because you don't have a lot of third basemen that are lights out powerhouses right
Yeah, I mean, just above him, the one, two, and three, you had Jose Ramirez, Matt Chapman, and Rafael Devers. Those are the top three third basemen in baseball last year, and they will most likely still be the top three third basemen in baseball this year.
now.
They are they know how to hit, but they put defense above offense because they know defense wins championships.
Yeah. Offense sells tickets, defense wins games.
Right, exactly. You know, but you know, Shohei's home runs sell tickets. Shohei's defense or Shohei's pitching helps them win the championship.
One
This year we'll see a full Shohei Ohtani on the field, and I'm going to be very interested to see how this all plays out with your 17-man rotation giving guys 18 days off in a
No
row.
player hate. No player hate.
But just look, right? Even I'll even say this behind Bregman, who's at number four last year. I see one, maybe two, maybe like three players that I could have seen easily above him, and are even in worse positions than our worst positions. The one I think that's the most shocking is Manny Machado is behind Alex Bregman in the ranking. Like, how that ended up happening, I have no freaking clue. No
Oh,
clue.
I love it. I love it.
I know you love it, but when you think of it in the grand scheme of things, the fact that Manny Machado is the fifth best third baseman in baseball behind Alex Bregman, I think that's a joke. That is
Yeah.
a joke. Now, granted, that that ranking is from Bleacher Report. Go fight them on it. Go ask them why they made that question. I don't, I'm not a part of that. But, when I look at this list before we move on to the remaining free agents that are out there, because we don't need to talk about Bregman anymore. The teams that I'm looking at that I think would be the best fit for him are either going to be going back to Houston, even on a 1 year prove it deal. Take the 1 year prove it deal and just go back to Houston and cut your losses. Or the Philadelphia Phillies. I could see him doing really well in Philly. I think it's a perfect park for him to be able to showcase his talent. There's a lot of fan behind a lot of fandom within that organization that will be behind him and help pull him up. And I think, putting him on the side where you've got Trey Turner, who can be your backup, and then throwing it over to the right side of the field where you got Bryson Stott and Bryce Harper could be the perfect fit. That's personally my opinion on it. And at the same time, the Phillies need to move on from Alex Bohm because he's just getting older and he's not doing well.
That's probably true. Probably true. Okay, before we get on to the next one, we're about a quarter of the way through our show here. We just want to remind everybody about our sponsors and how thankful we are for them. Gravity Red Productions, Rubies in Laguna Beach, Drunken Gentlemen Clothing Apparel, and of course, the pizza store at OC Local. So we're very grateful for them and everything that they do to make Top Fan continue to go forward. Let's talk free agency.
Yeah, when we look now at the remaining free agents, thankfully, this list has been shrunken. Like, I'm not adding more players to this list because they're, unfortunately, no offense to any of them, they're not like super important anymore. But um besides Bregman, is there another person out of the, Rizzo, Quintana, Corbin, and Morton that you would expect to see signed by the 15th?
So
We can both agree that we expect Bregman to be signed by someone by the 15th.
here's the thing. I just realized this, and I should have caught this earlier. Charlie Morton signed a 1 year, 15 mil ticket deal with the Orioles. So he gone. Um, I'm a little surprised that Anthony Rizzo is still out there because he's still got a lot of petrol in that tank. Uh, Patrick Corbin has been injury prone. He may be lucky to pitch for his high school varsity team at this point. Quintana and Bregman are where I'm kind of focused here. We just talked about Bregman, but Quintana, Rizzo, I mean, fellas, go sign. Let's go. Get it
Yeah.
done.
You know,
Don't
Pitchers and catchers are reporting. This is the week that they're reporting. As Bill said, every player in baseball has to report to their designated home dugout and clubhouse
mhm.
by the 15th. Um, so I think for the pitchers, specifically Corbin and Quintana, you need to figure it out. You need to figure out where you're going. Like, even if it's on a minor league contract in the hopes of just getting showcase to get picked up by another team. Like, just take a free agent, just take a non-roster invitee spot at this point. Take something. Something to make sure that you're there. You're practicing. You're keeping yourself fresh. You know, you can't keep yourself fresh practicing at home. You need to see live bats. You need to get your name out there to the rest of the league to say, I am still here. I am not irrelevant anymore. I am still at a minimum 12% relevant to the league.
Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
Rizzo, I think Rizzo's best bet is to go somewhere that needs a DH.
Well, a veteran leadership DH, a team, he'd be suited best with a team that is just outside of the playoff picture. A Kansas City Royals team that could be a little bit better. Minnesota Twins. By the way, the Minnesota Twins signed Harrison Bader for a 1 year deal, which was amazing. They actually did something, which you never know. Maybe over to the Angels, that would make a lot of sense. Although we know who their first baseman is going to be, by the trade deadline. A lot of other teams, Oakland, places that you don't want to go. Not Oakland, Sacramento, places that not necessarily are out of it, but are enough of a way from making a serious playoff push.
Yeah. And, even as you said, maybe going to a team that's youthful and needs some veteran presence to like help elevate them and bring that youth not the youthfulness out of players, because I think keeping the youthfulness in players is something important to the game. It keeps it exciting, it keeps it fun, especially for the fans that are watching them on the field. But elevating those young players into young professional players,
Mhm.
you know, and I'm not going to try to sound like a homer here, but the Giants could be another option for him to look at. Now, granted, they've got the big wall in right field as a as a left-handed batter, not typically what's best for him,
Mhm.
but the Giants have a lot of young guys that are coming up. They've got young guys that they plan on bringing up, and having you know, previous World Series winners on the team to say to these guys, you want to get to where we got to, this is what you need to do, could be something of value to them. And like you said, Rizzo still got plenty of petrol in the tank. He's still cranking out homers like it's no tomorrow. You just have to put him in a park that I think will allow him to do that at a higher level. So,
Mhm.
you know, there's a lot of options for these guys here. I mean, obviously not Charlie Morton because he signed, but for Bregman, Rizzo, Quintana, and Corbin, guys, there's plenty of options out there for you.
Yeah.
Pick a team, take a
So
take a flyer. Please take a
so
freaking flyer at this point.
so the other thing too, Sam, check this out. So let's just say, for example, um, let's just say the Red Sox wanted to sign Rizzo. Now you have Rizzo there on that corner, you have Devers on the other corner. For funsies, let's say the Red Sox don't sign Rizzo, but they trade and they get what we have heard, Nolan Arenado possibly going over to Boston. You put Rafi Devers at first, that makes that Boston team so much better.
Well, we've also been talking about Nolan getting traded. That's been a topic of conversation. We could have done an entire segment on Nolan getting traded because it's been
100%.
clearly been the talk of this entire offseason, and there has been no movement on it. It
Yeah,
has been a huge
100%.
topic of conversation, and there's been nothing. So, I mean, at this point, I'm expecting to see Nolan Arenado in a Cardinals jersey, and probably in similar fashion to Vladdy, traded by the trade deadline. But I have no expectation that he's leaving St. Louis in the first half of the season. Don't.
Yeah, yeah. You never know, right? All
Maybe,
right,
maybe
what's
training,
next on deck?
maybe a spring training trade. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Talking about next on deck, we talked actually we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the show, more offline, but looking at the D-backs and what they did in this last year with some of the trades they did last season, the signing of Corbin Burns this offseason, um, you know, are the D-backs going to get back to the team they were when they made it to the World Series 3 years ago, 2, 3 years ago?
Um,
Or are they, you know, or are they still trying to put the pieces together?
if I were looking at what the D-backs have done, assuming that we stay healthy, assuming that they stay healthy, I think
We,
the D-backs are the second place team in the National League, and I see that them making the wild card. What they can do, again, with Zach Gallen, with Corbin Burns, what they can do um, might be pretty good. They could potentially make a good run at it pretty soon based on that. But now again, it's getting to the playoffs. That on paper, this team looks really, really good, but there's also several really good teams. There's three teams in the National League East that are really good. There's the Diamondbacks, there's the Padres, there's the Giants. So you only have a certain number of space for wildcard teams. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Do I think that they look good? Yes. Do I think that they're making a comeback? Yeah. Do I think they're making it to the Fall Classic this year? Uh, Probably not. But you never know, right? The Phillies are good. The Mets are good. The Braves are good. The Dodgers are good. I mean, yeah,
you just couldn't say the Giants might have a shot. at being good. You just couldn't
Not
say it.
not this year, but do I think the Giants are making? And this pains me to say, so I'm gonna throw up a little bit in my mouth here, but um, it the Giants are trending in the right direction. So I think this year is a good season for them, but
Yeah,
not to the man that hurt to say.
I
Yeah, it's
think.
sick to my stomach now. I'm just
Do you
teasing
know
you.
how many times I kind of upchucked in my mouth and I had to talk about the Dodgers last season? I can
Is that
take
the
you.
2024
I
World Champion Los Angeles
can
Dodgers?
take you saying it once. Like, deal with it. Just deal with it.
Wait, everybody that's listening to this, to Sam's credit, I have to give Sam some love here. To Sam's credit, when the World Series was over, he did send me a text message and congratulated me. So, and to Sam's credit, he's the man. Like I mean,
I
you got to give him love.
for those fans that are now listening to this on our new um
Bleacher Brothers Radio Network.
Bleacher Brothers Radio Network, Bill and I came together doing this show as baseball purists that love our teams respectively.
Mhm.
But we give credit where credit's due when it's deserved to each other. When the Giants do well, Bill gives me credit. When the Dodgers are doing well, I give Bill credit.
And I'm
But
not gonna I'm
but
not gonna
we still hate each other's teams with a passion.
yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, Sam. I'm not gonna lie. I think that it is very good for baseball now. Everybody, don't hate on me. If you got complaints, send them to Mike over at Heads Up Sports Cards. No, I'm
Don't throw
teasing.
them at Mike. Don't throw
Okay,
them at
throw them at Dennis.
no,
Dennis.
throw them at Big Dave. Big
Okay,
Dave.
throw them at Big Dave. Throw them
Yeah.
at Sarah Holzberg. No, I'm teasing.
Oh, that's a name. That's a
Yeah.
name we haven't talked about.
Fl-
Throw them at
fl-
Megan. Let's just throw everyone's complaints to
yeah,
our amazing director of marketing, Met's Megan,
that's
or
Megan.
Met Sarah, or
But
wait,
I
calling
gotta
her
say,
name.
Sam, for the baseball purist to me, loves it when the Yankees and Red Sox are going down the stretch neck and neck. It loves it when the Dodgers and the Giants are going down neck and neck. I love it when I see the Cubs and the Cardinals going down the stretch neck and neck. To me, I love those rivalry situations. Those are just to me, it's fun, right? But what do I know?
Man, we should have actually done a whole intro show on our first stream on Bleacher Brothers Radio Network before we, to give everyone a background as to who we are, because people just don't get it. They just don't.
Yeah, yeah,
But when I look at the D-backs and what they've done this offseason and what they've done in the past couple of years and where they've been, I agree with you. The D-backs are trending in the right direction. They're doing the right things now that they weren't doing 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, five
mhm,
years ago was really kind of when it started to start, like they started to do things the right way. Everything before 5 years ago was just a dumpster fire down in Arizona. They couldn't figure they had no idea what they were doing. Not a
yeah.
clue. You could throw 10 high school, you could throw 9 high school players on that field and it would have been better than the team that the D-backs were putting out there because they were garbage. But they're going in the right direction. They're spending money in the right places. They're looking for the right players at the right time to bring out the best in the other players that may not be at the same caliber.
Good
Um,
call. Good call.
so I think I said it before the show and I'll say it again. And again, I'm going to be specific with my words here. The NL West is a four-horse race. One race. It's a four-horse race. And I say that in the regards of baseball is a 162 game season.
Mhm.
It's 20 something games in spring training, and then you've got the certain however many number of games you play in the postseason. A lot can happen. But when I look at the NL West specifically, to me, it is the vision that is the most useful right now going towards the future. I look at the Phillies. The Phillies are starting to get older. They just are. Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, uh, Rangers. Like these guys are getting older. They're not. They need to start bringing up more youth. I look at the NL West a lot like the AL East.
Okay, that's fair
They're
enough.
getting
That's fair
younger.
enough. Yeah.
The teams are getting younger while still having a strong veteran presence. Again, I'll be a homer. Look at what the Giants did. The Giants didn't do a ton this offseason, but they got one of the best shortstops currently in baseball in Willie Adames. And then they brought in a veteran leading pitcher in Justin Verlander, or as Bill likes to say, Mr. Kate Upton. Um,
Let's get up.
and I think that was a I think that was a smart move for them. You bring in another guy that on the fielding side that you can put with Matt Chapman, another top tier third baseman. You're solidifying the left side of the infield. The right side of your infield is going to be solidified by maybe not this season, but definitely by next season with the bring up of Bryce Eldridge and Tyler Fitzgerald moving over to second. The outfield is getting stronger with Jung Hoo Lee and Elliot Ramos going in there, and now you've got young pitchers that they're starting to bring up that Justin Verlander and Logan Webb and Robbie Ray can help give some mentorship to, help give them some guidance. And I think for it's again, not to sound like a homer, I know this topic was about the D-backs, but I think it's a fair comparison because the D-backs are doing similar things that the Giants are doing right now. They're getting younger in the areas they need to, but they're bringing in veteran presences to help professionalize the young guys.
That works for me. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a Sam special. No matter how it works, we're
I
talking about the
always
D-backs, and he brings in the Giants. I don't know
I
how that
have
works, but whatever.
I have to. I have to. But you also do it on the Dodgers on a consistent basis. So I can take
Because we're
my
gonna win.
cake and eat it too. Um,
There you go.
but again, going back to the D-backs who were the topic of conversation, again, the NL West is going to be a four-horse race. The Dodgers are most likely going to win that race. I think we can, based on the moves they did, the 17-man pitching rotation, the fact that they have the top three players in respectively, except maybe in third base, in each position across the entire field. Because I think you can agree with me. You don't have a top tier third baseman, and even your second base and even your shortstop is in like the middle of the pack. But they can hit. And that is a huge asset to you guys. You guys can have mediocre guys on the left side of the field and have stronger guys on the right. But the fact that every time your guys get up the bat, it's basically looking down the barrel of a gun, that ball is going to get hit and it's going to get hit hard. It's hard to compete with that. But
Jealous, are you?
but I think the D-backs, like you said, they're trending in the right direction. They're spending the necessary money they need to in the positions that they're seeing the holes in, and they're not just going out and spending money to spend money. They're definitely being smarter, not working harder. They're working smarter, not harder. So that's my take on it. We got one last big topic we want to talk about, and it's because it is a major month this year. We are going to talk about Black History Month. Black History Month is obviously important to all of us. There's a number of great things that these players specifically have done, and this list could easily be 30 players deep. Easily 30 players deep. But Bill, when we talk about it and we break it down, what what is it that these guys did for the game that made them so impactful? Not
So
just on but off the field.
everything. It starts with Jack Roosevelt Robinson, right? Being not only strong enough to be a professional baseball player, but strong enough to deal with what he has to deal with on the field with the boos from opposing teams and opposing cities to the off-field stuff where he couldn't stay with the team. Some hotels wouldn't allow him, and you move all the way through to today's game where you have some phenomenal African American athletes. And Black History Month is always something to enjoy and to celebrate. It's great that it happens during spring training. There's a lot of things. I mean, obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube or on in the locker room in the top end rivalry locker room, you're seeing a screen that shows Willie Mays, shows Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron, King Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, Ernie Banks, Frank Robinson. Like you've got a screen that is showing a tremendous amount of players. So these guys had to be strong on and off the field. Um, and in Barry Bonds' case, maybe had a little extra help with being strong on.
Oh my God, don't even
I'm
go
just
there.
teasing, just teasing, just teasing. But I these guys have cemented themselves in the history books not only for what they did on the field but off. And it all starts with Jackie Robinson. Jackie did something that I don't know that I'd be strong enough to do, to take that much hate and to play something that I love and still play it with passion and pizzazz the way that he did.
Mhm.
Um, and so without Jackie, you get no Willie. Without Jackie, you get no Barry or Ken or Ernie or any of these guys. So hats off to these guys, man. They've done a lot for the game, um, and shown ways to play the game and have fun with it for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, we talk about baseball history goes back so far. And when it goes back into the 1800s, the late 1800s. And when you look at the way baseball was played then, it was a very cut and dry thing. It was very, you know, I hate to say one dimensional, but it was kind of like, the players did the same things regardless of the teams they were on. They were hitting, they were getting in. But when you started to bring in the Jackies, the Willies, the Hanks, the Satchel Paige, the Satchel Pages to the game, they brought an extra level of flair to the game that I think the game needed. And it's not like, it's not like it was a flair that was like super elaborate and like it's not like the Savannah Bananas, who, by the way, shout out to the Savannah Bananas for changing baseball as well in this day and age. Love them. Love those guys. If you haven't seen them, make sure you check out Savannah Bananas. This is not a promo. This is not, they're not paying me. I really think that those guys are hilarious. And I hope I can get to a Savannah Bananas game in the near future. But at the time when they came out, they brought a level of flair that the game needed because it was starting to almost die on the vine.
100%.
So
100%.
and not only on the field, but when you look at off the field, look at the things that Jackie did and Willie did specifically in just their respective neighborhoods in New York. I mean, you see pictures of Willie all the time playing stickball with the kids in the street, just getting them involved. I mean, you don't see that as much nowadays. Now everyone's got foundations and charities and fundraisers and stuff that they're doing, so they're making you know major contributions to their environments and to their local communities. But what these guys did for their communities was so necessary just to get that love and passion back.
Mm.
So, you know, I,
Yeah, 100%.
I love
100%.
history in this regard, especially in this era, to see the drastic change that these exceptional history making players were able to bring to the game. We are all still lucky enough to watch. And I don't think we'd be able to watch at the level we watch it if it wasn't for these guys.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. No, I mean, Think of what Hammer and Hank had to go through, right? When he was coming up on Babe Ruth's record. Nobody has to do that. I mean, it's is what it is, right?
Yeah. So, as we wrap up Black History Month again, we can't thank these legends enough, and we also can't thank the current legends in baseball enough that are doing it at the same level. But we're gonna kind of move this along, get to this upcoming podcast schedule because we are in Galentine's week. Galentine's. With Valentine's Day on Friday, we're calling this Galentine's Day week. Bill, you have a great schedule. It's probably the first, as I said before the show, it's the first schedule I've seen fully completed for the entire week. Take me through it, my friend.
Hey, so Galentine's week, this was a genius of Megan, our marketing gal, and Amber. So Monday we've got American League with Ashley, which airs every Monday, and she brought on one of her good friends, and it's featuring a gal named Megan, a Detroit Tigers fan. Tuesday, we've got the National League West talk with Ali, Charisma, Delaney, Marie, Angie, and Shannon. That's going to be a great, great episode. Wednesday, you're not going to want to miss Victoria, Jules, and Karen. Thursday, Unraveling Baseball with Mike, but it's featuring Leslie, who's a huge Red Sox fan. And Sam, when you hear that episode, you're going to love that episode. We had a great time
Can't
with
wait.
that one. And then
Anytime we might get together and talk baseball, it's hilarious. So I'm always
yeah,
in.
and then featuring on Friday, we're gonna have a featured episode for Valentine's Day featuring Andy, Tiana, and Lexi, and these are they're gonna be on the National League East side. So we've got a couple Mets fans and actually a Nationals fan on
I'm surprised
there.
Megan didn't decide she wanted to join in on that fun.
Yeah, yeah, we've got her working on some stuff.
That's fair.
Thurs Thursday, sports talk fan involved, except for this Thursday. Do not go on to X thinking it's there because what's going on this Thursday, Sam?
This Thursday, we are doing our next Top Fan Rivalry Heads Up card break. I'm so excited for this break. This is one of my favorite products out there. Mike at Heads Up Sports Cards always pulls fire out of this. Don Russ 2020 baseball. We're throwing it back to right at the turn of 2020. These we're looking for Shohei's, we're looking for Acuna's, Bo Bichette's, Lou Bob's, Alvarez, Jordan. This is an incredible product. If you're still new to the card game, this is a great box to get involved in. This is a great beginner's box to get started in. And also, make sure you are checking up Heads Up Sports Cards because Topps Series 2025 Series 1 has officially dropped. And if you know Mike at Heads Up, like I know Mike at Heads Up, he is going to be doing a number of Topps Series 1 breaks over the next week. He's going to have hobby boxes, he's going to have mega boxes. Get over to Heads Up Sports Cards, sign up, mention Sam sent you over there. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, he doesn't kick you out. But if you are wanting to get involved in the Top Fan Break and throw it back to Don Russ, get to topfanrivalry.com, get into the locker room, go into the gift shop, wherever it is, or the team store. Look for the Don Russ baseball card break because there are still a number of spots available for a multitude of teams. So get there as quickly as you can. As well, we got to throw it back because In the Leagues is returning on February 18th, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Baseball Bill is back for his 30-minute show on hopefully soon all streaming platforms where
Yes.
he's going to be bringing on guests talking about what's happening in baseball during the season. And it is a great time. So make sure you get there. Before we wrap this up, Bill, take me through those corporate sponsors again because I just got to hear about them one more
Hey,
time.
real quick as we're wrapping up the show, first of all, we want to thank AJ over at the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. We love being on their show as well. But our corporate sponsors, if you're in Laguna Beach, hit up Ruby's Diner. Ask for Ned. Tell them that Bill sent you from Top Fan. You'll be great. Call our friends Darren and Curtis over at Gravity Red Productions. Look them up online. They do great filmings. That's where we filmed our Top Fan Rivalry commercial. That's where we do our rivalry talks through those guys. if you're looking for some yummy pizza, go over to the pizza store in Laguna Hills. Tell them you heard about us on Top Fan Rivalry. Off you go there. And then finally, you need a little bit of fun action. Go over to the Drunken Gentleman's website, and they've got some great merch over there. They have a good time doing what they're doing. So, want to thank Josh over at Drunken Gentleman. We want to thank Ned over at Ruby's, Darren and Curtis over at Gravity Red Production, and of course Taylor, the GM, and Patrick, one of the owners over at the pizza store by OC Local. So there you got it, Sam. Let's have a good week. Till next week,
Well, I
right?
can't wait to look up all of these amazing sponsors. We thank them again for all they do for Top Fans so we can come and bring this to you. As always, if you are not a part of TopFanRivalry.com yet, make sure you get there. You can sign up to the locker room. Use the code ATD in all capital letters. It will get you 10% off your initial membership. And it will also get you 10% off anything inside the team store, I believe, except the baseball card break. So don't try to use it on that because it won't work. But as always, on TopFanRivalry.com, make sure you're checking out the new articles, all the podcasts that we do on a weekly basis, the new merch that Bill is putting out all the time because it is fire merch. If you haven't joined the T-shirt club, make sure you join. Make sure you sign up. It's $25 a month, and the merch, stuff that you get is always fun. I actually got a sweatshirt in one of those T-shirt club packages, so I was super excited about it. Wasn't expecting it. There are exclusive member events that you can only do if you are a member of TopFanRivalry.com and the annual TFR Fan Fest. We did it not only in person this year, but also virtual. I believe that that's going to become a recurring thing, so make sure you are checking that out on a regular basis. Bill, can you close us out the way you always do?
Go fight, win. There we
That's
go.
right. Go fight, win. We thank you so much for joining us this week on ATD, and we will see you on the field in 2 weeks because we are taking off next week.
Yep. See you in 2 weeks. Bye bye now.